Welcome back to Chronicles. We're still in Revelation chapter 14. Yesterday we spent time thinking about the first angel which was sent out to hover in midair and to proclaim the eternal gospel. But there are other angels, each with their own equally important message. And we're going to spend time just thinking about one verse today. This could be the shortest chunk we've dealt with so far in the Chronicles, but really, really important. So we're in verse 8 of Revelation 14. A second angel followed and said, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries." And if you've been walking with us on this journey through Revelation, you'll know that quite often these big world powers like Egypt and Sodom and Babylon, which refer to kind of Old Testament nations really, are standing for more than just a physical place. They're standing for a system which is in opposition to the eternal gospel. So they're saying, don't fear God, don't worry about his judgments, and worship the beast, not the creator. So they're countering his message all the time. And yet the message here is so clear, isn't it? That Babylon the Great has fallen. I remember being in the British Museum, and one of the most interesting things about it is you can go around these galleries which tell the stories of ancient civilizations that were once great but have now fallen, and all their gold and splendour and power has been reduced to rubble and ashes, basically, and they're just in a little glass cabinet being looked at for a couple of minutes. And all that splendour has gone, and they have physically fallen. But what they stand for spiritually is still alive, but a day is coming when, in a spiritual sense, they'll be in the museum as well. They'll be fallen.
Yeah. And I suppose at the height of Babylon's power, at the height of each nation's power, you never think they're going to fall. But it is interesting that there are three angels here. Each one of them has an important message. This second angel has a message dedicated to this one simple thing.
Yes.
That this Babylon the Great has fallen.
Yeah.
And it must be a significant message the world needs to hear.
Yeah.
Specifically this.
Yeah.
The things that you think are so strong and enduring, if they're not based on Christ and if they're not God, then they are going to fall.
Yeah, they are going to fall. And as you said just now, when you're living in them, it's impossible to conceive of that ever happening, isn't it? You think about Nebuchadnezzar, in Babylon, the old king of Babylon, standing on the rooftop saying, Babylon the Great, built by my own hands. He's saying, what could possibly bring this to the ground? And, we feel like that, don't we? The kind of materialistic West, with all the protections that we enjoy and the security that our money brings. How and what kind of force could ever bring this to the ground? And yet, so easily, a virus begins to shake the foundations. We were reflecting just now on, I can't remember where exactly it is, but there's a volcano somewhere. It's very vague descriptions, but people might know. And apparently scientists say that if that goes off in a big way and one flank of it collapses into the sea, it will generate a tsunami so big that it could wipe out the eastern coast of America.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now, who living in New York City or on the eastern coast, would imagine that could happen? It's the stuff of films, and yet so easily, just one earthquake, one trigger, and something could come down. And as you say, that this second angel is devoted to telling us it's not as strong as you think, and it's coming down.
Yeah, and there's this maddening wine that Babylon makes the nations drink. I think part of that maddening wine is, look how great I am.
Yeah,
I'm indestructible.
Absolutely. That is a madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the way that the maddening wine of her adulteries, it's interesting because in the first bit of chapter 14, the saints are kind of described as those in a pure state. They're wearing pure robes and white robes, and they're described as virgins almost, which is not really a sort of just in the plain sexual sense that we might think. It carries spiritual connotations, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the maddening wine of the adulteries means that they betrayed their God and took on other gods, other lovers. Whereas the saints, by God's grace, were devoted like a marriage to their one lover. So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
I mean, really, that is the only adultery, really, isn't it? It's the true adultery. And you fall in love with this sort of the world or the beast, or other than serving and loving the Lord and fearing Him, going back to what we saw yesterday about fear God, give Him glory. If we don't do that, we're giving Babylon the glory, really.
Yeah, we are. And so there's a conflict here, isn't there? You know, in these two verses, we've got the first angel proclaiming an eternal gospel, fear God, the judge. We've got a second angel saying, fallen, fallen, Babylon the Great. And the question we're left with is, who's going to win? The eternal gospel or Babylon the Great? And there's no competition. You know, the eternal gospel wins the day. And so even in this message of judgment, there is cause for us to praise God, isn't there? Because the eternal gospel triumphs. And do tune in if you can tomorrow, and we'll have a think about this third angel and what he contributes to this growing picture.